My name is Vince Davis. I'm a trial attorney here in California, and I work and have a lot of experience in representing people in the juvenile dependency courts all over the state of California. We're going to talk today about the Interstate Compact for the Placement of Children, otherwise known as the ICPC. I want to tell you a quick story. I represented a couple from Nebraska who wanted to come here and get a child out of foster care. They showed up on the first day of the court hearing and let the judge and let the social worker know that they wanted the child placed with him. However, the social worker had other ideas. The social worker had placed the child with a local foster parents, a couple, so that they could adopt the child. The judge, almost at every hearing, asks the department, why isn't the child placed in the relative's home in Nebraska? And the social worker kept saying, well, we're waiting and we're waiting and we're waiting on Nebraska to complete its Interstate Compact for the placement of children and that report to approve placement in Nebraska. It turns out that on the day the parents' parental rights were terminated, the social worker brought the report to court. The report was positive, but by that time, the foster parents had gotten their own attorney and argued for the child to be placed in the foster parents' home and not to be sent to Nebraska with the relatives. That's when I got involved. I filed several motions. The court gave me a hearing, and I cross-examined the social worker, who admitted that the report from the ICPC had been placed on her desk and that she had lost it, and therefore had not given it to the court on a timely basis. And the court subsequently ruled that the relationship between the child and the foster parents was so strong that the court wasn't going to place the child with the relatives in Nebraska and instead allow the foster parents to adopt the child. So that's the horror story of the Interstate Compact for the Placement of Children, and there are certain things that you have to know. Number one, the ICPC is actually found in the Family Code, the California Family Code, so just Google it. Google ICPC or Interstate Compact for the Placement of Children. Read it. But if you represent relatives or a parent who are trying to get the child placed in another county or another state, know that you can ask for something called an Expedited ICPC. An Expedited ICPC must be completed within 30 days. Otherwise, you may go months before you get the ICPC completed. And the problem is, while you're trying to get the ICPC completed, the child is forming a relationship and a bond, physical, emotional, psychological bond with the foster parents. And if you wait too long, it's going to be detrimental to remove the child from those foster parents. So you want to get your ICPC done on an expedited basis. Believe it or not, we have a treaty here in the United States where social workers in other countries can be contacted to do an evaluation for placement of a child, say in Mexico, or Japan, or Italy, or Switzerland, or Norway, or any other country that's part of what's called the Hague Convention, and I believe that's Hague, the Hague Convention. It's an international treaty, and the United States is part of it. Therefore, the state of California is part of it, and probably your state is as well. So you want to get the ICPC ordered. You want to make it on an expedited basis. And I'm going to tell you a little secret. Sometimes when you get that ICPC placement, it gives you a little leverage in the case because social workers and sometimes courts don't want to send a kid back to Colorado because they have no direct control over the situation. Now, I'm not saying that happens all the time. There's a lot of ICPC placements that are done and done properly. but sometimes it might give you a little leverage. So remember, the Interstate Compact for the placement of children is important, and you and your relatives want an expedited ICPC. One last thing. In my humble opinion as a lawyer, people will tell you that the ICPC doesn't apply until at or after the disposition hearing. Now, this is a big argument that I have in many, many cases. It is my opinion that the ICPC even applies at the first hearing. I know that you have many questions. I get questions every day, all day, from families just like you. My name is Vincent W. Davis. Give me a call at 888-888-6582, and I'll try to help you.